Hi, it's Charlie Murray from Manx.news. I'm reporting live to you from Glen. I'm on a little staycation this week, so I won't be on the podcast, but I've left you in the very safe hands of Juan Turner and Sam Turton, who undoubtedly will be giving government a little bit of stick this week with the Tynwald sitting. And panic not, I'll be back next week, upsetting more MHKs and hopefully upsetting a few more of you.
So should we go then?
Ready when you are.
It's weird about it being here, isn't it? We've got no one to tell us what to do.
I think it's lovely. I think we should just enjoy it while we can.
And on that note,
let's start.
hello and welcome to Friday. Manx.news' peruse around the Manx news, business, sport, whatever landscape we're going to pretend that we're talking about with any sense of decency or indeed information this week. So I'm certain without this week, the Angel of the North. She's off sunning herself on, some far-flung foreign beach.
We're not allowed to say where she is. Look, blank. If you're watching on the video, blank seat.
Yeah, it's very sad indeed. We're obviously not going to say where she is, but we just hope that the Mauritius authorities do release her in time to return to next week's podcast.
How's she going to cope in that 5-star luxury hotel?
Well, I don't know. You see, I think all we can assume is that the working class hero she is will make the most of it.
Now we've actually had letters in our post bag this week, haven't we?
We have a post bag.
Oh well, we don't have a post bag. No.
Oh, my post goes to postman downstairs.
Yeah, but it's email these days and electronic reasons. But we have had we've had a complaint actually about the podcast, and I'm going to read it out. Yeah, and it was from somebody has commented about having to listen to Charlie and said she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth.
I'm glad that we've managed to spell that with the stay at the Four Seasons.
Absolutely. But anyway, this is somebody who's posted on our thing called Ellen Vannon. So they can't even use their own name. So they like to hide behind a sort of a pseudonym, and they've got one friend. But it says here they work at Manx Utilities. They studied at Ballacameen High School. They live in Colby and they're married. Oh, who's the poor partner of this person? But yeah, so this Ellen Vannon, hello to you, and has worked at Manx Utilities since February 2013. But they're obviously Billy Big Balls and can't actually criticise Charlie in their own name, which I think, what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't do it face to face, so scratch your eyes out.
Well, exactly.
She's been known to kill several parishioners in the north of the island. Allegedly, yeah, a little bit. But they did once refer to her as the Mackled Ripper.
Well, anyway, so Ellen Vannon was complaining about having to listen to you and Charlie. So we'll help them along there. We'll just ban them, and then they won't have to bother listening to this diatribe.
Sounds good. Well, on that note, actually, we do possibly have a video from Charlie. So we're either going to drop that in now.
Oh, we're not, are we?
Or she hasn't bothered because she's too busy with the silver spoon and her 5-star luxury holiday to bother to send it in.
Now, I know I'm not there, but it's okay. I've left you in the very safe hands of Sam Turton and Juan Turner, who I have no doubt will be giving government the scrutiny they deserve this week, especially with the Tynwald sitting. But panic not, I'll be back next week, and I'll be there with not one, but multiple silver spoons in my mouth, because come on, that's how I was brought up.
So, if you hear Charlie's voice, then you know that she cares about you, and if you don't, you know that she doesn't.
She doesn't. She's on a Jet 2 holiday, Sam.
Yeah, well, I can imagine they were, with their Porsche caps.
Right, anyway, what have we got in the news this week? What are we going to start with this week?
Oh, well, I think we have to start with the government's awful performance at Tynwald this month.
Hang on, like this is surprising?
Well, I mean, normally they can at least get the votes together. But we've had a couple of embarrassing things this week, and I think probably we'll start with the one which has happened this morning on Thursday, is the MiCard issue. So, a wee while ago, well, over a year ago, it was policy the MiCard was going.
Just explain what a MiCard is.
MiCard is a system you get.
There'll be people who don't know what it is.
It's a system you get benefits payments on. So you get it. It's put onto that. You go to the post office, wherever. And it was meant to come in as a system that would sort of be used across government for different things. They never really switched it on properly. They sort of just used it for this, and they were drawing it to move to deposit straight into people's bank accounts, basically. So pensions, child benefit, all that sort of stuff would go into your bank account instead of using this MiCard. And most people always switch to bank accounts anyway, but they want to turn the MiCard off, and that's meant to happen on the 31st of December this year. So like at the end of like an EastEnders episode on, like a New Year's Eve special in EastEnders when the clock strokes midnight. Yeah, Sharon's found dead in the square.
Again.
The ghost of Billy Mitchell is wandering around.
Dirty Den.
Yeah, he's back again. And your MiCard no longer works. And then, it's tragic. So yeah, off the back of that, there's basically been a lot of things in the past few months where people who can't get bank accounts, or for various different reasons, and what's going to happen to them. And the Treasury have gone, trust us, we got a plan. Trust us, we got a plan. We got a plan, don't we? Trust us, we got a plan. We now get to the 20th of November. We're yet to see the plan. Just trust us. And then Tynwald's finally sort of had enough, and Joni Farragher moved a motion which basically said that the system would be extended. Tynwald was of the opinion that the system should be extended to ensure that nobody is left unable to access, basically unable to access these things. So that was the motion which I've just had and stupidly scrolled back down the order paper.
But have you tried opening a bank account lately?
No, I just still got the Amman Bank ones. Can't bother going through it all.
Yeah, well, I got rid of them most of the time. They're just not. There's no public customer service anymore.
I don't really want customer service. I just want somewhere to put my money in so I can spend it.
Yeah, no, but they then if you don't follow their rules that they keep changing, suddenly they'll just freeze your account, and you can't go into the bank and speak to somebody.
That's true.
And get it undone. This is our money, not theirs, and yet they seem to have the God-given right to police when you can't have access to it. I don't like it at all. Well, I think they're all a bunch of shysters.
Well, basically, so her motion was that Tynwald was of the opinion that the MiCard system should not be discontinued until 6 months after an appropriate alternative method of payment benefits or pensions to users with no bank accounts was approved by Tynwald. Now,
it's very open-ended.
It is a little bit. Now, off the back of that, we then get to last night when this vote was going down, and it was becoming a bit obvious that the government was going to lose.
Again?
So they were trying to move amendments, and it just wasn't happening. And the Treasury Minister was facing members going like, if he can't do the job, he should get out. And I got a couple of messages off MHK, so I was surprised to sort of how vitriolic it was last night. We then moved to this morning, and the Chief Minister enters the arena, and Alf had this to say.
Can I first of all start by thanking honourable members for their forbearance last night and for giving the Council and Ministers that opportunity to sit down and work with the Treasury Minister to better understand the exact position and what needed to be done for us to protect those in society who continue to need an access to cash to receive their benefits and their pensions. I'd like to thank the honourable mover of this motion and indeed all members who have contributed and brought forward amendments that reflect their concern, and indeed I can assure you that we share all those concerns and want to make sure that people are properly looked after. Therefore, this morning, Mr. President, I have circulated an amendment that I hope will clarify the position from the discussions that Tynwald had yesterday and indeed the discussions that the Council had last night and this morning. That amendment notes the effective position that MiCards are due to expire, endorses the fact that the Treasury are continuing to work with MiCard users, and where, of course, a MiCard user is unable to transition for whatever reason to a regular bank account or set up a bank account, then they will be issued a new MiCard to operate from the 1st of January 2026, and that the Treasury clearly need to continue to work to ensure that those who need cash for whatever reason have that ability to be able to access that I hope that is reflected in this amendment, which of course also enables us to effectively allow members to recontribute, and of course enables the Treasury Minister to better clarify the position. Thank you again, honourable members. I beg to move the amendment in my name.
As you did, so the Chief basically came out and said, look, right, we need to resolve this. So he moved this amendment, which was that the MiCard system currently in place will expire on December 31st. That cannot change. However, people who cannot open bank accounts will get a new MiCard to use from the start of the new year. So the post office has basically been told, look, we're going to have to keep this system on for a little while we sort something out. And now what we still haven't got evidence of is how much it's going to cost, because part of the reason why they were switching off MiCard was to save £500,000 a year. I think that was the figure, that was one of the figures that was given recently. And so now we've got to a point where the government have sort of backed down on this, had to agree to that amendment with a side amendment from Rob Mercer, which basically just slightly tinkered it, but it's essentially the same thing. So and we will expect a report back from the Treasury on that within the next few months. But so it was a pretty embarrassing sort of climb down from the government, really, that they've held this position for months, and now the Treasury Minister has had to sort of sit there while the Chief Minister goes, I'll sort it, and rolls out a complete change of policy on a whim because Tynwald has gone, you're not doing this.
So there seems to be a bit of a shambles going on with pretty much everything in government at the moment. They are in disarray. I did that interview with Alf Cannon a few weeks ago where I did press him on the fact that, you've got a council of ministers you can't really choose because you can only choose from a certain amount, and they've all got different ideas. How the hell did you cope? Now, he was very diplomatic how he answered that, but is this not an example now of the fact that the current system doesn't work? You've got a council of ministers who are in complete disarray, none of them agree with each other, and it's now showing through Tynwald votes because they've lost, we'll come to it a little bit later on, the area plan. Now this, what on earth is next? The minimum wage only went through because there was lots of whips going on about certain things, as we know. We don't want to revisit that debate. That's going to no doubt pop up again soon. So, surely this is another major blow for Alf's leadership.
I think it's a bit of a weird one where it's arguably a good day for the Chief Minister and a bad day for his government. And it's not often you get that because he's seen as the voice of reason in this.
Well, that's what I mean.
He's been seen as the one who sort of, I think he used it himself this morning as the person to clear some of the smoke off the battlefield, because there's been a lot thrown around at each other over the past couple of days. And it's not been a good few days for the government. It's probably not been a bad few days for the Chief Minister. He's actually come through Tynwald relatively unscathed, as opposed to a few of his ministers. We'll take a short break in a second and then come back to discuss the area plan. But I think the most important thing about this is, beyond anything else, of course, is that the people who need benefit system and can't access bank accounts for every reason will have this backup. But I think that you said about it earlier before we started this, that the government now have to use this time to go, we're going to change the law and tell the banks, no, sorry, you have to provide basic banking services in 2026, as it will be. You have to provide those services, and it doesn't matter what reason you can come up with. You have to facilitate this for people. And I know the Alman Bank has withdrawn Penny, which has spent more time off the roads and on the roads,
on the vehicle ramp.
Yeah, but but they do have to come up with a system, because we can't just keep extending this MiCard system indefinitely. No,
I think that's something you said. I mean, off mic earlier we were talking about this, and you were saying about somebody who'd been to prison, and because of their offence they couldn't get a bank account. Well, as much as you'd expect me to be the what do you call me, the hardline far right, it should be they've been to prison, so hung, drawn and quartered. But in fairness, the punishment is going to prison, not then when the person comes out of prison they can't get a bank account, because you need a bank account to function in just about every part of society these days, even though I really like the idea that we should be using cash. I'm a big supporter of let's use cash, let's not give the banks. But the fact is, hypocritically, I'm not organised enough. And that's the problem. To go down to a cash machine, then you've got a load of change in your pocket that's jangling around. Those horrible new plastic notes that you often get, they come out of your pocket all the time. You know, they're making the use of cash so difficult, even though I think we should be doing it. But, you know, you want to buy something, you've got to fart around trying to get some change, where you just go in with your phone and go, ping.
Yeah, and I mean, I had the thing this week where I was looking for a, you know, the sort of thing, just a couple of days before you get paid sort of thing, and I've got
no money. Pay you for this?
Apparently so, yeah. So we've got no money in the account, but I've got a thing in the house which I keep money in, which is sort of like a, just, you know, when I unfortunately have change or something, chuck it in there.
Is it a big whiskey bottle? Because we used to see those years ago in Relative.
No, it's not a big whiskey bottle. It's a confectionery box.
Right. There's not much in it then.
Well, no, it's a cream egg holder, but
right.
It comes with like it's a giant cream egg basically.
Right.
And it's like, you know, all in there. And I was amazed when I went through it. And there's £15 coins in there, and I was like, "Oh, I'm richer than I thought."
Yeah, they're not the ones that have gone out of date, are they?
Well, no, they haven't on the Alman, of course, because we didn't get rid of the £1.
No, we didn't.
However, the thing I did learn this morning, quickly before we go to a break, because I know we've gone very off topic from MiCard, is the Manx £1 does not work in Tesco's new self-checkouts. The ones that accept cash and card,
right?
They don't accept the £1 because they've been set up for the UK.
Okay.
And they don't accept them. So I'd suggest that the UK ditches the several shaped pound and go back to the £1 and do the honest, decent thing for Manx people who want to go and buy a meal deal in Tesco.
Well, why don't we just get the right shaped coins, for Christ's sake?
That's what the UK should do. They should go back to the £1.
Yeah, right. So for a population of 60 million, they should change their currency for us.
Yeah. I think it'd be a lot easier. Also, our money's nicer than theirs.
Why?
Well, we've got nicer pictures.
Do you look at the pictures?
Occasionally.
I know a little anecdote, and we've gone really off topic. I know somebody who was selling on eBay. You know the 5p's
Yeah.
that have got like a golfer on them?
Yeah.
They were selling those on eBay as golf markers. You know when you put on the green, you need to move the ball marker. They were selling them for about £2 a pot. 5p coins.
That's a hell of an inflation markup.
It's fantastic. I tried it and nobody bought it.
No, I sold a Manx £1 note for a while ago, and I got like £6 off that.
Yeah.
But then I also I gave one to a mate.
There's a right mug out there somewhere then, isn't there?
I know. It was an IM8 postcode as well. But no, I gave a £1 note to a friend of mine who got married in Surrey last year. A couple of years ago. She collects like, you know, random notes from around the world, and so for part of her wedding present was a Manx £1 note. And she said, you know, of all the wedding presents I got, it's one of the few things I still have. So,
right.
It's sort of one I have, but
yeah.
The genius of Manx money is...
What a great anecdote, that's really added to the podcast.
And if anybody knows, they can write in, right? So the Tesco machines, they take notes, and they take Manx notes. Do they take the Manx £1? Will they take a Manx £1 note?
A £1 note?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've never thought to try it now.
Well, there we go. So let's wrap up MiCard, because we've traditionally gone off topic again. Where's this going?
You can read all about it on Manx.news, but basically the MiCard for people who cannot get a bank account and cannot use banking services for whatever reason, the MiCard is staying for now. And government, it's a big 1-0 to the backbenchers really.
U-turn?
It's probably a U-turn, yeah, but I think you've got to give it a big 1-0 to the backbench.
Okay, do we want to give them a name check? Who on the backbench has been championing this?
Well, Johnny Farragut moved the original motion. I know John Wannenberg, Rob Carter, Jason Morehouse, Tim Glover, Julie Edge. Basically, as you referred to... All the rebels. The awkward bunch on the backbench.
Now, that's interesting. Johnny Farragut, Labour Party. What about other Labour Party members?
Sam, we may well have spoken last night. I didn't hear her speak this morning.
I thought there's two. Is there two?
There's Sam Watby and Johnny Farragut.
Oh, there's only two?
Yeah. So Sam Watby didn't speak on this issue this morning. May well done last night. Actually missed part of the debate last night, being stuck in traffic. But yeah, they all voted in favour anyway. So the Manx Labour Party voted in favour of sustaining the MiCard system. So no doubt it's a victory for, as I'm sure it will warm your heart to know, it's a victory for the Manx Labour Party.
Right, are we going to take a break now? And
yeah, we'll do that.
What are we coming back with?
We're going to come back with the area plan for the north and the west. And welcome to Friday.
I wanted to do that.
All right, go on, you do that.
No, let's carry on. No, we're not going to fall out.
All right. So all this, right?
I'm not like Maury, you know. I'm not like prima donna sat here giving the orders out.
No, you just.
I'm just pushing the
I was
buttons.
going to say, you're just flying the desk.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not careful, I'll get Will back in here.
Will.
I'll do this as an hour-long monologue.
You wouldn't do that to Will. You wouldn't do that to Will. So, area plan. Now, you and me and you and I. That's correct.
Ebony and Ivory.
Right, that's something completely different. Well, you do with the glasses on. Anyway, we went and spoke to Tim Crookall and Kate Lord-Brennan a few weeks ago when the initial vote was taking place. Now, of course, we know what happened there. There was a big shock to government, and they lost the vote, and it came back for this combined vote. Now, between you and I, we were discussing how it goes, because we thought the rules were that it goes straight to the vote, no debate, blah, 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 blah. But I gather it wasn't quite that straightforward.
Yeah, so, as you say, we spoke to Tim Glover and Kate Lord-Brennan the other week, and we also spoke
Tim Crookall, not Glover.
Yes, we did. Kate Lord-Brennan and Tim Crookall the other week, and Marlon Masker, and Keith Dalrymple up in Ramsey, so we spoke in different areas about this most affected. You can actually see, we'll put them pictures up now just because I love that the Tim Crookall and Kate Lord-Brennan picture looks like they've launched like ITV's new drama series, Murder in Peel.
Dempsey and Makepeace.
Yeah, they could be the new DL and Pasco. But so basically, it turned out that what happened was when you call a combined vote, you either go straight to the vote on what is there, or an amendment can be moved. Now, admittedly, I didn't really know this, and it was interesting to see it play out because it got a bit weird at times. People didn't. You had members openly saying they didn't know what was going on.
I should know the rules, having been there for so long, but I can't remember them. I can't remember a time when we've had this situation.
So it was weird. So they moved an amendment. There was one from Dr. Arnson, which David Ashford, who was the original mover of the area plan as the Cabinet Office Minister, then said didn't really change anything. When you're going, so why are we here then? Why have we just spent the best part of 2 hours arguing about this if it didn't change anything? So you had this, you had another amendment from Chris Thomas, who equally was irked about the fact that you can move an amendment to what should be a combined vote.
Yeah, I think that's like having another bite at the cherry because the debates happen. So what's the
that's basically
I agree with Mr. Thomas,
and that's basically what members said. Kate Lord-Brennan said as well, and Chris Thomas said about it in his, and he then wrote an amendment on the floor basically and got it written up and printed out and started sharing it around, and so you then had an amendment to the amendment. So you had two amendment debates going on. Then we had an adjournment debate that went on, and that was Chris Thomas again. He wanted to adjourn it to the next day. They said they couldn't do that because David Ashford was I don't know what the reason was, but it doesn't matter what the reason was. But he was granted permission to not be in Tynwald after a certain time on Tuesday. So,
well, that's the time to get the vote done, isn't it?
Well, that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to get it all done as quickly as they could for the reasons he had to be out, and so they were trying to get this done, and it just kept going round and round in circles, and this just led to real quite anger amongst members, and you could sense it, and eventually but there was sniping at each other across the chamber, and there was all sorts of.
That's unusual.
Oh, it wasn't just the occasional. You get sort of one comment that you'll get occasionally. This was like back and forth all the time. Got to the present where we got to the fantastic situation, which we'll stick in now as well, actually, of President Lawrence Skelly giving his best head teacher voice, of telling them all to, quite frankly, sit down and shut up.
Because it is not for a school. It is not for school use. And this happens quite routinely on the island, where someone will put an application in because they own the land and they want to develop it.
Honourable members, Mr Hooper, one moment. Honourable members, there's a lot of disruption here and is talking across the chamber. It is disrespecting your colleagues. This is the High Court of Tynwald. Please have respect and act with integrity.
So yeah, we had Mr Skelly there doing his best head teacher voice, but so we get to this way. So the adjournment debate, that's rejected. The amendment is then rejected. The initial amendment is rejected. And so Chris Thomas's amendment focused on data and strategic implications of a housing land study, which
sounds very dull.
Yes, it was. So it would be report back on recommendations on how it should affect the release of reserve land, existing and future strategic plans, and potential for developing unallocated land. So that passed overwhelmingly, basically. Dr. Allison's amendment emphasised the planning conditions and community infrastructure required for new development, highlighting the existing policies that state development must be supported by necessary services and requires master plans for key sites. Now, people have pointed out that one of the big things about the other area plans, the south and the east, that have already been passed, that development has not been supported by necessary services. For example, Ballasalla is still waiting for a new school, despite the fact that it's had a massive housing estate built in it, and the only place it can go of its current schools is into the playground, which has taken up more space with the ever lovely temporary mobile classrooms. So,
I used to love the mobile classrooms. Kids love mobile classrooms.
do they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Little adventure outside.
Oh, it was great. I can remember being in class 2 at Bradden High School, Bradden Primary School, and our teacher was Mr. Jones, the late Mr. Jones. Great fun teacher, sadly no longer with us. And the mobile was great. Everybody wanted to be in the mobile.
Okay. Well, that sounds lovely. Was it just because it was Bradden? The alternative was just sitting next to some graveyard, just.
No, it was just the main school was. Yeah, it was just great.
Oh, anyway, so
I don't know what the problem is.
Actually, to be fair, a new primary school, a new primary school for Bradden was also part of the area plan for the East Division at one point.
You can't knock Bradden down. Not going to allow that.
Okay. So anyway, right, this then ends up in a 16-all draw. Because when it's a combined vote amendment, everybody votes as one then.
Yes.
So you end up with a 16-all draw, which means it doesn't pass. We then get to the area...
Because the threshold's higher for that, isn't it? That's why.
We then get to the area plan combined vote. And we get a couple of people change their votes from the previous. So just having a quick scan at it. A couple of members of Ledgeco voted for it now as amended, including the Lord Bishop. And I think amongst MHKs, most of them stuck to where they voted last time.
Good.
So you get to a situation where you get 13. So originally, right, it was 13-4 in the Keys, 11 against, 1-4 in Ledgeco, 6 against. That was what led to this combined vote. We then get the house lights go down, the dramatic music comes on. 16-all draw. The area plan is defeated on an away score draw.
So what happens to the president's vote?
The president...
he normally has a casting vote in some circumstances.
Yes, this was not one of those circumstances.
So he doesn't vote at all in this?
No. I'm not. There was a discussion about that, right? Which I'm not going to bore people with.
No, please don't.
But there was a bit of a discussion about that in the chamber at the time on the previous vote for Dr. Allinson's amendment, where he said he'd vote. He said traditionally the president would vote with the keys in such circumstances. But it was then saying that no, this isn't an area that you can vote on anyway, because I think it had to have an 18. I think that amendment might have needed 18 members for it. Anyway, so it gets to this point, 16-all draw, and that's it. The area plan for the North and West.
It's in the bin.
So long we barely knew you is dead.
Wow.
And that is it. And after all this time, and all this, and it's a list of different reactions. From speaking to KLB, her supporters are quite happy that the plan's been killed because of what it meant for Peel. There's other oppositionists, Laurie Hooper, who supported it, who interestingly did also at the time criticise the way that the Cabinet Office had done it. He said that it was the timing and everything was weird about how they'd done this area plan in terms of presenting it, because once you present it, it sets the clock running for when it has to be agreed by. Mm-hmm. And he said, look, they just didn't get it right, and that he's annoyed because he says doesn't allow for it'll hold up development, or no, it's just handed the keys to developers now to go and do what they want. But
what, now it has?
Yeah.
I don't think it has it?
Well, this is the thing. See, his argument is now that if you haven't got zoned land, then developers can do whatever they want. Now, here's my argument, and I've said this for years.
Is that a bad thing? Because surely each planning should be done on its merits, not because we've zoned some land and made land very valuable.
This is where I'm getting to, you see, now, because I think that the area plans are an absolute fucking waste of time. Massive waste of time.
Thinking.
And a complete waste of money as well. The Southern Plan has not delivered in the way it should do. Nothing about the Southern Plan led to the development of the housing in Ballasalla, for example, or Castletown. And nothing that was in it about infrastructure improvements has actually really been achieved. In the same way the area plan for the East talked about Bradden Bridge and the Quarter Bridge.
Well, it's a shambles.
And there's no sign of anything coming forward on that one. We're talking about bloody TT access roads again the other week in Tynwald. So, it's just like nothing on that has actually been achieved. And then they're talking about a whole island plan.
But you just mentioned the access road. I was around when they were talking about the big flyover over the valley here, which was going to be built. I mean, that would have been long built and
It was meant to be part of the plan for the hospital when it was being built.
It was.
And all that just vanished. Anyway, so... But this is when they're talking about a whole island plan now, which the next administration will have to pick up. And they're going, what is the actual point? Because like you say, we have an independent planning committee, right? It is led by one political member, as pretty much always in MHK. I can't think of a situation where it's been an MLC. We then have...
I can. Claire Christian, not the one that's there now. She was head of planning.
Claire Christian, not that one. Like H.
Not that one. Yeah.
Like Fans Farmers.
Former president and former MHK. She was chair of planning when I first went into Tynwald.
In much
She
like
was an MLC.
that's like H, who's an army celeb this week. It's not H from Steps. It's not that Claire Christian.
Yeah.
So so anyway, you have a political chair of the planning committee. You then have 6 people. I think it's about 6. Who have experience, or they may not have. They may be business people who want to offer their.
Well, they're appointed by Tynwald.
They're appointed by Tynwald, but you have people from different walks of life sit on the planning committee, and they're guided by rules which are set down by Tynwald. You have a planning officer, a senior planning officer, who's there to help with technical points, or the law says you have to do this or this or this. Yeah. But ultimately, it's up to the planning committee to go yes or no. And
the safeguard is that it can then go to the minister.
Yeah.
Who can overrule it if necessary.
Yep.
And the ultimate safeguard is for anything really
it can petition the
hot, it can go be called in by Comyn, and there can be an inquiry. So
well,
I
even
think
beyond that,
there's already those things there.
Sorry, even beyond that, you can go again. You can have a petition dolence against that, and you can take it up as far as the High Court. So you can end up in front of the First Teamster. There is a cost to it, but
I don't think the courts should be meddling in things like that.
I know, but there is still. I mean, well, you look at the area plan for the East, where they made a complete massive cock up on zoning a field by accident, and nobody ever really spotted it. That ended up in the court, and of course, we can't do anything because Tynwald voted this through, and it's now past that point of where we could have changed it. But that got through. You talk about area plan for the East. That got through what could have been a very serious area if they had made that somewhere else. And still could prove quite costly for the owners of that area.
You see, I don't accept all this nonsense about, the law says this. Well, Tynwald can change the law.
I have had this argument.
They can change the law. So if they spot something that's not right or not working, change the bloody law. Stop piss-arsing about going, we can't do it, change the law. I mean, it beggars belief sometimes. They were very quick to change the law when they wanted to fleece us all for the sewerage tax. They did that in one day. It went through the House of Keys. I voted against it, by the way. It went through the House of Keys in the morning, it came up to Legislative Council, they put the whole law, primary law, through in a day. They can do it when they want to.
Yeah, absolutely they can do. And we said to some Chris Thomases in the other week, it's like the thing about electing Public as Chief Minister, and went, we can't just do it. I went, yeah, you can.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that, and we're going off on another tangent.
Well, let's just finish the area plan. The area plan for the North and West is dead. That's it.
Right.
It will not be coming back. It is an ex-plan.
Yes.
It has gone off with Dr. Chapman and various other cultural references which are far too old from most of our listeners.
Yeah.
But there we go.
So the area plan's gone. Great. So I want to ask you, I just want to pick, because obviously I was doing the tech for when Mr. Sir Christopher of Thomasshire was in here, and you said about electing the Chief Minister. I don't sort of disagree with your thoughts on that, because I think we have not got a democracy here. We've got a really abysmal political system where we're electing one person and then we have a government. We're not electing. We don't know who our government's going to be. They could be, far right lunatics or real far left lunatics.
I didn't know you were standing.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I set that one up for you. So the point is, I want to ask you how that's going to work, because public elected Chief Minister, then nobody in Tynwald will work with him.
Well, I mean, it does have the thing of do you remember that one in The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob gets out of prison?
No,
and
I've never watched the series.
He basically he hijacks an election, and he has this whole thing where he's like, your heart tells you to vote Liberal, but in reality, you want a cold-hearted Republican to rule you like a king. And maybe that's what the public want. Who knows?
Well, it is, because if say for example we elect a Chief Minister, we will expect that person to make the decisions. Now, the ones who don't like the decisions will go, "Oh, this is a dictatorship." But hang on, We've elected you to do the job, and
Yep.
we expect you to do it. So yes, it is a dictatorship, but they're in charge.
Now, fortunately, I'm going to drop another little clip here because this has been well timed. Because past few days have seen the appearance of a surprising, fantastic double act of Alistair Ramsey and Chris Robertshaw. Come from different areas of government expertise. Chris Robertshaw served as an MHK. Alistair Ramsey was a journalist and then used to run government comms.
Yeah.
And they were giving evidence to the Constitutional Committee looking at various different matters of government. And Alistair Ramsey basically said his thing was that the relationship between the public and national government is at the moment between the electorate and the government that emerges after a general election is a blind date relationship. You don't know who's going to turn up. This leads to public disengagement. People are often baffled by parliamentary decisions. And you get it all the time. People say, well, we didn't vote for this. And he made the point, and Chris Robertshaw said it as well. And Chris Robertshaw went further and said, we're living a bit of a lie, really, of our general election, because all we're doing, we're voting for individuals thinking that, well, there you go, we've given them a mandate. And you haven't. You've not given any mandate. What the Manx public in reality give is a mandate not to do something. That's the nearest correct. We give to anybody.
And I don't think people understand it.
And this is where, I know Charlie said about Rob Caster with the minimum wage thing, I'm just using that example off the top of my head because it's one that I can think of, is that he said, I'm voting I don't agree with the minimum wage increase, I'm voting for it because I promised my constituents I would do.
You see, that annoyed me.
It annoyed, I get why it annoyed people. I'd say the only thing that is, it is something that goes, I said I was going to do this, I'm going to do it because I said I'd do it. And I go, well...
But there again, you also, on the flip side, had Tim Johnson, who was never going to be a minister.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes, he's through the door. But the Rob Collister thing, I mean, I like Rob, get on very well with him, and we have some good discussions. But I did get annoyed at that public meeting at the Palace Hotel last week, where Rob kept going on about, well, if you listen to my speech, sorry, Rob, we don't give an absolute toss about your speech. It's how you voted that matters. Because anybody can stand up and do a blistering big speech in Tynwald and then hit the button to say, pass yes or no. So this whole thing about listen to my speech, the public don't give a shit about your speech.
No,
they care about how you voted.
But this is now where we get to the point back to this. So we've got Waldorf and Statler themselves. I'm going to get a message off one of them about that. Talking about the relationship between government and the public. And I'm just going to play that little clip in now and just basically where they think this could be changed.
Just talking about the Chief Minister, I think the most remarkable thing about the Chief Minister is that they are appointed without any reference whatsoever to the public of the Isle of Man. Absolutely staggering, and the fact that some members probably even now are possibly talking amongst themselves about who should be the next Chief Minister, and the public are completely excluded from that. They can't even ask them candidates at election time because the excuse is, well, we don't know who's standing. I think it's a complete charade, actually, and actually disrespectful to the public, so almost insulting.
So the two choices are, do you have a directly elected Chief Minister? And the answer to that is no.
I'm not sure.
Well, that's a whole debate in its own right.
So off that, you're basically saying, they're saying we need to move to a system where there's more engagement in how the Chief Minister is selected. And I think this is, I know people have brought up the idea of election change where we go for an all-Ireland electoral list. Well, they did that in Guernsey. It was an absolute farce. Because Guernsey did it where you had people were taking 15, 20 minutes in the polling booth. And then, because you were voting for 54 people. And then you get the situation where Gavin St Pierre, who was their Chief Minister through COVID, absolutely storms the poll and then isn't anywhere in the government. And you're like, well, the biggest public mandate has just been given to one individual who is then left out of the government.
But I think that's then the problem with your system, isn't it?
Well, it's the problem.
So how would you envisage it working? I don't disagree with you that it could be done. It could be done. But how do you do it? Are they from people who are already standing, or does somebody just put them forward as Chief Minister?
I'd argue
there
should be a system where you have the 24 who are elected, and then have basically 1 week to amongst themselves. You have to have a minimum of, say, 6 nominees to put you forward for the role of Chief Minister. We then have a public vote 2 weeks later on those people who are nominated. And I get that's not perfect.
That's a lot to organise, and the public's appetite. To go back to the polls again and all that infrastructure. And I'm not saying cost should be an issue because, our democracy is much bigger than cost.
I mean, this is where we should be moving to digital voting, which wouldn't cost anywhere near the much.
At all, I'm afraid. I think, no, when it comes to voting, you should turn up. I mean, I remember one election, I wasn't keen on voting for anyone who was standing in one particular election, but I still went along to exercise the right to mark the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I just put a line through the paper. And people say, well, what's the point in that? Well, the point is that you've gone along to register your
dissatisfaction.
Yeah,
I get
because it's important. You can't. People go, well, if you don't vote, you've got no right to complain about it. Well, I did go along and vote, but I just didn't vote for anybody on the paper. So that's why I went along.
Yeah,
and I felt disappointed in myself, really, because I thought, what have I just done? And I thought, no, I couldn't endorse any of the candidates.
That's fair enough. That's completely fair enough. I just think that we have to have some system where this government is actually elected by the people. Because at the minute we don't. We have a system where we pick 24 people who then pick amongst themselves a leader out of 2 people. I mean, let's face it, if you go back and read the Cannon and Allinson sort of bids for being Chief Minister, they are quite different documents.
Well, we did a full programme on that. In fact, we'll put a link to that. If you remember, we did the leaders' debate, and we'll put a link so people can watch that again.
But they're quite opposing sort of views on how the island should be run.
Completely.
You then got one of them's Chief Minister and one of them's Treasury Minister. That makes no sense. It doesn't make sense to have the 2 opposing people then running the government together.
Well, one could argue that the Treasury Minister is actually a more powerful role.
Well, it is, quite frankly, in this day and age.
Because the chief,
I know we've talked about recently quite a lot. It's not like Alan Bell and Eddie Tier where there was such a we're in this together.
Synergy.
It was borderline Osborne and Cameron with them 2, where it was like we know what we need to do as a pair and what we want to achieve. And I just never felt that with this sort of with this government. And I mean, to be fair, we have to go back to the original thing. The original Treasury Minister was David Ashford, who I think was probably a lot closer aligned to how Alf Cannon wanted to run his government.
I don't disagree.
But we have to have something. And whether that could, of course, be, under the current system, you could have the Labour Party, the monster-raving Liberal Vannon Party, and that was just for Peter Carr on that one, and or the Green Party, or the Manx Reform Party, or Manx whoever, put forward 24 candidates, get 13 seats. There you go, you got government.
Which one do you think I'd be in?
Probably the monster-raving Liberal Party. I can just see you screaming.
Oh, not the Manx Reform Party.
Screaming liberalism from the roof.
Well, here's a suggestion for you, and I haven't discussed this with you beforehand. You're saying about it. I get what you're saying, and you're right in that that's where we need to be. But I can assure you that won't work. Would an option be that there is some sort of recall mechanism, so that and I'm not suggesting every time we don't like one of their decisions we suddenly throw the baby out with the bathwater, but there should be a mechanism to recall the Chief Minister by the public to kick him or her out and force, or even recall the House of Keys and put them on notice and say, this is such a shambles, we're not happy with the direction of travel because you've got all these things appeared that weren't in manifestos. We want a fresh election by petitioning the Lieutenant Governor or whatever. And it can't just be done by 25 Karens on Facebook. It has to be done properly. But would that not be a better way of firing a shot across their bows, that if they don't perform for us, the public, the taxpayer, we can haul them in and say, this isn't good enough?
So there is. I wish you'd asked about this earlier because I could have told you about how it's thing of it. There is.
I'm asking now.
So basically, there is the power to call an early general election sooner than the 5-year scheduled term.
Where? Who does that power lie?
It technically lies with the Lieutenant Governor, only following consultation with the Chief Minister. I believe
that's if you
had asked me about this, I could have got you the thing. Basically, there is a thing where it is possible. There's in the standing orders, it will exist. Basically.
Well, I've tried searching for this, and I can't find it unless I thought the governor could only intervene if there was a serious breakdown of like civil disorder, or the government was acting, in a way that's contrary to.
Okay, so
whatever the wording is. But do you not think that? I mean, obviously there might be. But do you not think that would be the best option?
The only thing I can find that's immediately coming up, and I've done a very quick search, is that whenever the Lieutenant Governor thinks it expedient, the Governor may, under the Lieutenant Governor's hands, summon the House when it is not in session, or the House stands adjourned or prorogued to a more distant date for a future plague, or by proclamation dissolve the House and issue fresh writs for general election of members. So that is annoyingly the most recent thing that I can find coming up. Now that could have changed, is the annoying thing, because we didn't plan for this.
We don't plan for any of
this.
No,
and it's really annoying because we're going to have to do an explanation now on Manx.news as to how you can call an early election on the Isle of Man.
Well, we can do that. We can, like what they always go, we'll put it in the comments. But I'm talking to you about, you had this idea. I think it's not going to work because of all these factors. But do you not think that the whole recall, whatever's there now is clearly not sufficient, but the public, that the power goes back to the people, and there has to be so many people registered to vote, could sign a writ, petition or whatever, that then goes to the governor to say, dissolve the House of Keys, we want another election.
Arguably, it's a possibility.
Was that a yes, Stu, and I agree with you?
No, it's not at all, because I think it opens up too many issues.
Why?
Well, how can the people arguably have the power to recall a government and yet not have the power to create a government?
No, well, they're not. What they're doing is they're dissolving the House of Keys, not the government.
So how? But I mean, that's probably how do you do that? Because under the current system of 24 MHKs under 12 constituencies, then the people of Middle could absolutely want both of their heads on pikes and want them out. But the only way to do that,
but that wouldn't be enough people, would it?
Be to recall the entire island.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
But
you would have to set the threshold. You'd have to set the threshold of triggering it sufficiently high. You couldn't just have, 1,000 disgruntled people in Braddon because they didn't like the way something was going on.
But arguably that's more than enough to recall people in Middle, because of the number of people who actually vote in that constituency. So if you had 1,000 people in Braddon saying we want both our MHKs recalled to face an election.
Oh, you mean do it on a...
Well, that's what I said. I don't see how you can do it island-wide, because we do not have an island-wide election.
Yeah, I see your point.
If you look at one of the more famous ones in the UK Parliament was Ian Paisley Jr. was faced a recall petition where in the UK you can be done. There was certain rules that had to be reached, and then there was 10% of your electorate had to demand a recall, and then that could happen. I imagine that's the only way we could follow it over here.
But here's the difference though. When you've got like ministers in a constituency, their decisions are affecting people in other parts of the island. So the only way to do it is to...
Yeah, but where people vote in... if Jeremy Corbyn had been Prime Minister, everything that happened would have affected the whole country as well as Islington North. Sedgefield was affected... Not only Sedgefield was affected by Tony Blair being Prime Minister.
No, but it's a nuclear option. And that's why I'm saying the threshold should be so that you can't have these whims of an MHK's done something I don't like, so I'm going to, we're going to recall them. But we're at a stage now where so many things have happened in this administration that the public didn't ask for, didn't want, didn't vote for, and are deeply unhappy with, and yet they're bumbling on. I mean, we're only less than a year now away from an election, but some of these things. Take the wind farm, for example. Apart from a few sort of jumper-wearing tree huggers, I've not heard anybody who's in favour of that.
Well, I mean, there is a simple...
Apart from the MUA.
But there is a simple way to... This is the simple thing that people don't get, is there is actually a very simple way for the Manx public to oust a government.
How?
Turn up.
Turn up where?
Turn up anywhere. You have this, right? You could get 2,000 people in the Isle of Man stand outside Tynwald, or on Tynwald Day, block the governor from getting to the hill just by standing in the road. The police do not have the numbers required to remove 2,000 people. But
people
that's it.
shouldn't have to
You
break-
do that.
people shouldn't have to
That's not
break
breaking
the
the law. They're
law.
not breaking the law. That
Well,
is
they
not breaking.
are,
They're not
because
breaking the
they're
law. That's bollocks. They're not breaking the law at all.
Well,
all they're doing is
You try it.
all they're
We
doing.
can't even stand there. We get shifted along.
Yeah, and you get 2,000 members of the public do it and say, we're standing here in civil disobedience of our government, we want them gone. That's
It's a nice
it.
idea.
The government would be gone that day. Because you could not...
They would not be
No
gone
chief
that
minister
day.
could survive that. If you had enough people, if you had 50 people stand there, you can disregard that. You get a few thousand people stood there, you could absolutely overthrow this
Can I
government.
just say, this is not your Donald Trump moment here, where you're inciting people march to the Capitol.
Why not?
You're just
Bugger it.
what you've just said is march to the hill and block the government.
And I'm not
from getting down the
suggesting...
road. Can we just point out that that's not what you're suggesting? Well, it is what you were
I
suggesting.
am suggesting to people,
but-
if people wanted to
but
remove
you're
a
not
government...
suggesting violence.
No, I'm not at all suggesting violence. I mean, if people want to remove a government, the best way to do it would be to stand in front of the governor, to stand on Athol Street or on Prospect Hill, and block Prospect Hill for the morning.
But I like the idea of that, but it's not. In reality, that's not going to do it, is it?
Oh, it would.
Or
would.
do you
That
think
would embarrass the government.
Do you
into
think the
resigning.
governor would be? I mean,
I think the
Sir
governor's-
John's one of the best governors we've had, but do you think he would actually you exercise his powers? To then
No, you don't have to.
Say
It's
the civil
embarrassing them
breakdown
into
here?
doing things. That's what matters. It's embarrassment.
Embarrassing.
Not for him.
Look at the infrastructure minister. I mean,
None of that
she's
matters.
got no
None of
shame.
that matters. You stand there and do this stuff on a scale where the BBC are going to see it, ITV is going to see it. That will go round beyond just this island. You would embarrass the government into collapsing.
Well, I mean, it.
Protesters always do
You
that. The
can
Manx people have got a
embarrass
history of
them.
this. The Manx public have got a
This is
history of doing this.
fascinating.
The Manx public have taken out Lord Raglan when he was governor here. Got taken out. Was it Lord Raglan? I might have to change that name. It was Lord Raglan.
Well, it doesn't matter, but we know what you mean.
I might
yeah.
have
It was
completely
one
got the
of
wrong
them,
governor.
Wasn't Cornelius.
It was.
He didn't get his statue, did he?
No, he did not.
No. He's got his column, but he's...
Yeah, but no, there you go. Yeah,
Right,
it was Lord Raglan. Sorry, resigned in.
Thank you, Google.
Yes, 1918. So the Manx people do have a history of this, of mass protests removing people of power.
Well, they did it with Radio Caroline as well.
Yeah.
And this discussion could go on, and I don't think there's a single person that would not share your sentiment that the power needs to come back to the people. But I don't think, in reality, a load of first of all, people wouldn't, because people are law-abiding. They don't go to Tynwald Day to be a nuisance. Well, some do. Mainly the ones on the hill.
I was going to say, most people don't go to Tynwald Day.
Yeah,
They've got better things to be doing with their
But
days.
they're not going to join in something like that in reality. So it's a question of, is there a proper mechanism that people should have to be able to say, no, we want an early general election? There we go. We've talked for about 20 minutes on this and not come up with a solution, have we?
So thank you for wasting everyone's time.
Well, I don't know.
We'll go to a break and come back.
People will be praying for Murray to come back.
Oh,
won't
yeah.
they, there? Okay, let's have the break. Can I do the intro for this next week now? Yeah, welcome to Friday with
Wasn't much passion in that, was there?
What do you mean?
Welcome to Friday.
Well, I don't like to peak the levels too, because when you did it the other week, you were so enthusiastic, it got distorted.
I like to burst through people's Alexas and into
Yeah,
their
but it
living
doesn't
rooms.
do that, because it just hits the limiter at the top and it crunches. Anyway, welcome to Friday. We are here without the Angel of the North, who's got her silver spoon, her silver cutlery set out, and is sunning herself in far-flung parts of Shetland Islands or somewhere like that. Anyway, we've had some fascinating discussions here. Sam, of course, is the Jeremy Corbyn of this operation, and I like to think myself as the Margaret Thatcher. Although
I have a few friends who have connections to Hezbollah, and suddenly you're being compared to Jeremy Corbyn. I don't, by the way, before I get put on any lists.
You shouldn't get joke, because they've got these AI things that scan these things now, and they will take that very literally.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that Alan Partridge sketch where he said, "Earlier I made a joke about the Queen being dead. It was picked up by one or two people and a national newspaper." I mean, that was just...
She wasn't,
and then
unless she went
I'd just
for the
like to repeat, the Queen is not dead, unless she went in the night and is yet to be discovered. Of course, that was many years before our good Lord of Man, Her Majesty, had passed away. But anyway, so what you say on these things can be taken a little bit literally. But anyway,
that probably won't be making the cut then.
No, I think we'll leave it in. Go on, what have we got?
Right, so the Health Minister has been challenged over figures given to Tynwald about patient and GP ratios. Claire Christian was speaking as members were asked about GP access and appointments across the island. So she told members that basically the current ratio is 1,998 patients per GP. However, as we reported earlier this year, the figure that Manx Care gave for the Isle of Man in numbers 2024 was much higher. It was 2,689. That is also the figure that is referred to by Locate as part of its thing. So this was challenged by in Tynwald by MHKs with Uncle MHK Rob Callister saying it clearly says we have 33.2 GPs on the island, and the number of patients on the list is 89,262. So the average is 2,689, which is the figure that is also in the was that figure. So he basically said, I don't believe the facts and figures that she's given us today are correct. So,
so he's basically accusing the Department of telling porkies.
Yeah.
Right,
And
okay.
so Miss Christian then said she would go back to check the figures of Manx Care and report back to members. The problem is, of course, these figures came from Manx Care. So Manx Care, if these are figures that have come from Manx Care has given one set of figures out for the Arman and Numbers report and another set of figures out for the Minister. And there's a third set of figures which, for reasons that we can't... too much to go into right now, we are partly responsible for them being on the Locate website. So, yeah, it's a bit weird one because of how many... It's just such a bizarre thing that the numbers just really don't add up. And I expected we had a response of something like that Manx Care DHSC by now to come at us about this story. Nobody said anything.
Well, I'm just totally disinterested in all of this because I think they just blind everybody with flannel all the time. I mean, look at the situation that's going on at the moment over that Earthscope contract, where DEFA are coming out with different information every time they're asked. You know, they had 3 different contracts. The whole thing is another shambles, and it's where we're just getting constantly fed information. I mean, are these people willfully doing it, or are they just incompetent?
One would have to assume the latter.
I think it's a bit of both. I think
we're getting a bit of both.
Well,
yeah, I don't know. I just think it's.
So where's it going? Where's it going?
Well, we don't know because we'll try and find out the truth of the matter, what the figures are, and hopefully we'll be listening to that one probably in December, Tynwald, which will be a lovely treat for everyone.
Excellent. Now, I had a text message during this recording of this podcast this week.
Well, it's a bloody texting show as well now.
Well, it's WhatsApp.
Oh.
WhatsApp. Yeah, I'm on Boris's WhatsApp group.
Did you see the one between him and Matt Hancock? Did you see it this morning where it's like just at the start of the pandemic and it's just the last message is Boris going, anyway, I'm off to the Ruggers.
Was it? No, I didn't see that. But anyway, it says here, I'm not going to name the company because I haven't verified this yet, but I have heard it from somewhere else, so there could be something in it, that a firm are putting their freight rates up by 5% from the 6th of January following steam packet rate increases and the cost impact on the impending minimum wage increase. It's happening.
Yeah, and
they were warned.
We nearly got all the way through this podcast without talking about minimum wage, so close. So basically, you can look on Manx.news. There's more stuff about minimum wage this week. The Enterprise Minister has admitted that there was not industry-specific sort of research done into how the impact of this will be. There was also a look at the what the impact will be on students leaving. I know we've given the example of people coming out of going to try and get into apprenticeships previously, and so you can see that on Manx.news. It was a bit of a weird answer because it's basically saying, oh well, there was the minimum wage committee was consulted and went, yeah, and then completely ignored. So you can see more of that.
And that doesn't go well for them when they have a committee and then it's completely ignored.
No, it doesn't look great. So you can see more of that on Manx.news. Now, just to finish off, it's kind of a business story.
I like the way you just completely you were determined not to talk about the minimum wage, and you just completely didn't pause for breath there, so I couldn't get back in.
Yes. So
Charlie's left me instructions here that I must talk about it this week.
A slightly business story, but more of a sports story, really. This week, Conor Cummins announced the launch of his own Conrod motorsport team. So it is 20 years since his TT debut, and he also has the Douglas-based coffee business. He had places up north as well, but I think most garages you go into now, it's Conrod coffee machines, and he does really nice hot chocolate now as well, actually. And yeah, so he's going his own way with his team. He was with Paget's previously, and he's had a bit of spells, and he's now gone on his own, and he's going to compete in the Superstock races next year. He's reviewing his options for Superbike and Supersport classes. He said, "I'm really looking forward to the new challenge of running my own team. It's a big step and a bit of a leap into the unknown, but it's something I've considered doing at various stages throughout my career. With the growth of the business now, feels like the right time, and I'm really excited to be bringing my two passions together." And obviously, I think he might be the second quickest Manxman. I'm not sure if it's either him or Nathan is the quickest Manxman on TT course. So it'll be good to see Connor next year and see how that comes together.
Absolutely, we wish him well, and yeah, his coffee business is one of the sort of success stories, really.
Yeah, and I know because Charlie isn't here, Yasmin Ingham has been doing Yasmin Ingham things.
Yeah,
to a high standard as always.
Absolutely.
FCR Man have been
FCR Man have been brilliant as
they've
always.
They've been doing FCR Man things to a certain level of FCR Man standard. For anyone who caught the badge at the start, to zip this up, because I'm wearing one of
you're
the...
not supposed to be...
I forgot I was wearing it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, of course, my views only represent those of Manx.news and not of anybody else.
Well, they don't even represent the views of Manx.news. Some of the things you've said.
Well, yeah.
Christ.
I'm going to be in Guantanamo by the end of this. And yeah, so we've that is basically where we're at. We've just got a couple of... the final thing this week really has been the tremendous snow which fell across parts of North and Snaefell, which brought the mountain to a standstill.
You were very naughty, weren't you? With your picture you posted on Energy
good, wasn't it? My mother thought it was hilarious.
Do you know, there was somebody on there that went, they've obviously not seen... They actually believed that you hadn't seen the artwork that had been
the
drawn
artwork,
on some
yes.
of
I mean,
it was almost as if like, oh no, we haven't seen that.
Yes, well, just
it was very juvenile, but very funny.
Oh yes, well yeah, man. You see, we don't have the Coca-Cola truck. We don't have John Lewis adverts, but we do have somebody drawing a giant cock in the snow up at the bungalow, and that is a proud tradition which this island has stood for centuries. Even back in the Viking times.
Some might say which drawing of either one of us was it?
Well, yes. It made a remarkable resemblance to Charlie, actually. So, but yeah, so that is where we're at to. And what you got coming up for the weekend then?
Well, what have I got coming up for the weekend? I've just had again another text has flooded in here. Not that I'm not paying attention, saying, "Would you like to come and do some timing for a horse event on Saturday?"
Timing. That sounds
timing.
Lovely.
So they're obviously short of helpers. So that looks like what I'm going to be doing on Saturday.
Sounds lovely.
Yes. So yes, there we are. Sam, what are you doing?
I'm away tomorrow night. Going off to see.
Is this Friday night? So
Friday
tonight,
night. So tonight.
Yes.
Going off to see SLM play away at Longridge Town on Saturday afternoon. So going on.
Is that near Preston?
Yes, it is. Yes, I'm going to on the Friday night boat. Quick dash to Morrison's and Asda. I would say other supermarkets are available. Neither of them on the island. So who
I'm
gives
an
a
Aldi
shit?
man.
You're an Aldi man.
Yeah.
Will you be an Iceland man when they start?
No.
The power of frozen.
No. I do prefer like fresh stuff, really.
Yeah, I get that too.
But I think when I'm across Aldi or Lidl, the middle of Lidl, there's always lots of shit that you don't need, but you end up buying. It's in there.
Yeah,
you never see it again.
I must admit, I think obviously Tesco's slowly taken over the island. I just think that when you go around it all, the different brand quality stuff. Now, obviously, Marks and Spencer's is like for its own brand stuff is above all the others, but I think Tesco's for its own brand, the quality and the price is not too bad.
Yeah, I like M&S. I like their food, but I'm not paying. I'm sorry, I'm not paying to go and park in their car park.
Yeah,
I didn't get stuffed. I just get sick of the. You've started me off. I get sick of the motorist being fleeced for parking. I will not go into a car park where I've got to pay.
Well, good news then, because tonight sees the launch of Parking on the Prom.
Don't like parking down there. No, I will go down there, but you can never get a bloody park down
No, you
there,
can't.
can
But it's
you?
allegedly only
So that's
2 hour
out as
parking.
well.
So it's 2 hour parking launches on the Prom today. It'll be
It's yesterday, isn't it?
Yesterday, today, Thursday, whatever. And it'll be on Lock Promenade. Now, this is the brilliant thing about it. There was no parking permitted on Harris Prom near the War Memorial It's very important that nobody goes to the gate like the Panther or anything and parks there, because the police will come round and ticket you. The most pointless thing in the world, by the way. It's a massive space opposite one of our entertainment venues. It does no harm to anybody. I see no reason why people cannot park there. There's plenty of room left for everybody to walk around the back of those cars, but for whatever reason you can't park there. So do not park opposite the gate during TT, or the elves will come and
Christmas, you mean?
During TT. Fucking hell. During Christmas. Do not park there during Christmas, because during TT you can bloody park there. You can park your bike wherever the hell you want, provided it's got an Italian license plate. There we go. Now we've gone full. When's the Reform Party started?
It's got, we're going to recruit you yet. So. We're going to come over to our side yet.
So you can park there. You can't park opposite the gate, but you can park further down the prom. And and then that light switch on thing in Douglas happens later on. Onken's got a great one next week called Christmas Lights in the Park, where they've even got the boats are going to be on the lake, so you can go around the lake on the boats under the nice lights.
Yeah.
And it's an Onken, so it's therefore better.
Sounds hell. That's great. Just finally, somebody, I'm going to give him a mention, Jed contacted me and said, like some of your stuff there. It's like GB News. I said, how can we be like GB News when we've got raving lefty Sam Turton?
I was going to say, sure, more like LBC.
Oh, well, we know who you'd be if it was LBC. You'd be James O'Brien.
Ian Dale, you're right. Oh.
Ian Dale. No, you'd be definitely James O'Brien.
I to be honest, I got bored listening to James O'Brien, and the same way I got bored listening to Owen Jones, because just the left...
Oh, don't mention that.
But when the left rant, they're just not that entertaining. James O'Brien's more entertaining, but when the left start ranting, they're just not as entertaining.
No, I did enjoy Andrew Neil taking Owen Jones to bits one day. On that, there's clips floating around. But anyway, we're going way off tangent again. Sam, it's been an absolute pressure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
I think next week is just you and Charlie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? That will be a joy. God almighty. We'll be accused of being, far-right nutters next week in that case.
I'm off to... do you remember that one in the... Was it Spitting Image years ago, and they did it was Jerusalem, but it's as it went on, the more and more sort of Nazi flags started coming down, and Thatcher was dressed as Hitler.
I don't remember that. I used to love Spitting Image, but go on.
That's how I imagine you two hosting the show next week.
That's like you'll be hearing from our, not that
I'm
Charlie
not saying
has got a silver spoon in her mouth, but you'll be hearing from her barrister.
I'm not saying that he's addressing like Nazis. I'm just saying that you might be wearing some fetching leather outfits. Who knows?
Look, take you. Thought of that.
Right. So I'm actually not here next week. I'm getting eye surgery. So I'm not here next week.
Yeah. What would you do if you're lying in the theatre bed ready for the eye surgery, and suddenly behind the gowns you see that my eyes and Maury's.
All you hear is "Welcome to Friday." Who's that clown who does the comedian fella? Does it?
Who's that clown? Well, that could narrow it down.
Comes into people's houses at the middle of the night and does a game show with them.
Oh, McIntyre.
Yeah. But that with you and Charlie.
Right. I think you should piss off out of here. Go and have a good weekend.
Yeah. And on that note, it's goodbye from Juan.
Goodbye from her in the corner, who's not here.
And on that note, I suppose better say goodbye to myself.